Hey everybody, today I'm going to walk you through how to do your first lab on the TinkerCAD program. We're going to be working through lab number 3 of the Mr. Circuit Lab Manual. I'm going to show you how to log into the program for the first time, save your work, search for all the pieces you might need, and then also build and test the actual circuit. We're going to also show you how to do troubleshooting if you need to change any values or switch anything up from the original build. At this point, I'm going to do some screen sharing, so please feel free to follow along and stop me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to flip on over to the program and we'll get started. All right, I am here on the TinkerCAD program, and you can just click on the link that I posted to you for the assignment or search tinkercad.com. I also have open on the next tab is the Mr. Circuit Lab Manual, all ready to go on page 12. For lab number 3, parallel circuits. So logging into the program for the first time, you're going to need to click this top right log in button, obviously signing up. We are going to do if we do not have an account already. Now I already have an account, but you are going to click sign up. You're going to hit create a personal account. We do not have a class for TinkerCAD. You're just kind of going to be using your school email to create any of the designs that you might need. So create a personal account, sign in with Google. You're going to be able to click or type in your student email and password. As you can see, mine is logging me in. And again, you are not joining a classroom. You are just creating a personal account with your Churchville email. Okay, and here's what you're going to see is you have spots on the left for, again, classes. If we had them, we do not. You're going to want to hit this designs button. And then also, further than just my videos, TinkerCAD has their own tutorials of how to build different shapes, draw different objects, okay, all sorts of different neat tools that TinkerCAD might have. We're going to hit designs, and we are going to actually be creating a new circuit design. Okay, create a new circuit. You can do 3D drawing in this program, but we are just working in the electronics piece for now. Now, what you see here, there's a lot going on, but first thing we're going to do is click on the change the name button. TinkerCAD gives you a random name, but we can just name this Mr. Circuit Lab 3, just so we know which one we're working on. On the left here, where I'm moving my mouse, has all sorts of workspace if you drag and drop your pieces in. And then on the right, as you scroll through, you have a big menu of all sorts of pieces that we might need to build the circuit. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip on over to the Mr. Circuit Lab Manual. You should have already read through the majority of this article. Again, it's just explaining what a parallel circuit is. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the second page, this is where we have our diagram showing us what to build. Okay, this picture is showing us with real life pieces and components and a breadboard of where they would go. If I zoom in a little bit, you should also be able to see that there are small little gray squares kind of making a grid, and these show where all the pieces get plugged in. So looking at the parts list, I can see what pieces we are going to need to bring in. First and foremost, let's get a breadboard, the thing that we are actually building on. So I come over to TinkerCAD, and I can just scroll down on the right to breadboard, drag and drop that in. And you can see there are all these little squares that are exactly like drawing in your lab manual. Now, the one thing I do want to point out here, and this is key for every single circuit that you might be building. When I hover over these little dots, you can see that they line up all in the same row. So when I hover over one square in row 1, all of row 1 lights up. Same thing with row 2, row 3, and they go up and down. They do not go the long way. Okay, so that's why these numbers are here to show you which row is which one. Now, what this means is that each of these squares are connected to each other. Okay, we should know from a circuit that we need to make one big loop for the electricity to flow through. So if I connect these in a big loop, as it shows over in our diagram, okay, in the Mr. Circuit Lab Manual, there we go. Okay, again, it shows you those rows that things should be in. So we're just going to be placing pieces exactly where the diagram shows. Let's start with my battery. Let's go over here. Use your 9-volt battery right here in the supplier. Let's drag that in. We have negative black wire. We have positive red wire. My diagram is showing me to put the red wire in the top left. So let's go ahead and place this red wire. I'm just going to click, drag it out, and we'll place it in the same area that is shown in our diagram. And we're just going to work our way through all these pieces, placing them in exactly where you see in the Mr. Circuit Lab Manual. And hopefully this will help us create, obviously, the circuit. So the next piece we're going to need is 2 different lamps. These can actually be called light bulbs. So if you just search in the search bar, you'll be able to find any piece that does not automatically show up for you. Here's our light bulb. We need 2 of them. I'm going to zoom out just so you can see all the pieces. Okay, so we need 2 light bulbs, 1, 2. And in our Mr. Circuit Lab Manual, we are seeing and following the wire to where all 4 pieces get connected. And so I'm going to drag these in. Again, we are looking for them to be in the same row as the battery. Again, if I zoom in, you should see they're in the same row, meaning they are connected. If I were to place this over here or over here, okay, those would not be connected. These are in different rows, so nothing would actually work the way that you would like it to. So please make sure connecting it in the same row. Skip on here, correct line. Okay, there we go. I'm going to do the same thing with the second light. Again, we're going down in the same row. Looking at my diagram, the right side of our light, we can now follow along, and it's going to be about 5 spaces to the right. And if you need to count those squares, feel free to do so. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this one will be in the same row as that. So we have our battery. We have our 2 light bulbs here. So I'm going to hide this meeting controls to get in the way. The last thing we need is our 12 ohm resistor. Now, if you remember from lab number 1, we already looked at the colors that this resistor may need to be. If you need a reminder, it's right in the picture. This one is showing us brown, red, black, and it's also telling us that it's 12 ohms. So I'm going to come over to Mr. Circuit. I'm going to drag in my resistor, and I'm going to change that value to 12 ohms. Okay, by clicking on the resistor, you can change your resistance value to 12 ohms. And you see the colors actually change right on there. And this will change to whatever value it tells you in the lab manual, so 12 ohms. Okay, just to make it a little more visually appealing, makes sense, I'm going to click on the resistor, and there's this rotate button up in the top middle. I can flip around, rotate the resistor so it lines up exactly how we see it in the diagram. And now we're going to drag it in. And click on the left side of my resistor, and that goes into the same row that we just left off on with 2 lights. Like that. The right side of it is going to go, I think it's about 7 squares to the right. So we will go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then last but not least, we need to connect this black lead wire from our battery, and that will form the loop. Now that goes in the same row that we just placed the resistor in. Again, we're looking at these highlighted green rows. So you can click, drag, and click again. And that is my circuit. And it doesn't look like it's fully connected, but that's because all of the connections and metal pieces are connected again in these rows underneath the breadboard. Now, to test out your circuit, all you need to do is in the top right, hit Start Simulation. Let me zoom out so you can see both my light bulbs. And if you built it correctly, you would see your light bulbs turn on. Okay, or whatever the circuit is having you do. Some of them will have a motor spin. Some of them will have LED red lights turn on. We can hit Stop Simulation. Now, the only things that you might need to change for future labs. Again, if you do not see your piece in the far right, you should be using the search bar to search for whatever piece you might need. If you are looking at all these green wires and saying, Mr. Umstead, that's super confusing. Look at all of them crossing over each other. I can't tell which one is which. It helps you. Click on the wire, and in the top middle here, you can change the color. So each wire kind of stands out for something specific. So I might change the red lead wire to red, the black lead wire to black. Okay, you can make your light bulbs a different color, only if this helps you. I'm not going to require it, but some people it helps kind of color coding each piece. If you ever bring in the wrong piece, say we don't want this light bulb in here, we're just going to click on it and hit the delete key, and it will just remove it from your circuit. Otherwise, all changes will be saved automatically to your TinkerCAD account. You are all set to, again, test the circuit. If it works, you're good. If it's not, you need to make those changes. And please make sure to show me your finished circuit for full credit. All right, thanks for watching, and please let me know if you have any further questions.